time will always win. Now, prioritization is a key component of time management. It's actually what most people struggle with when it comes to finding time. And the truth is, we all have enough time to get what we need to get done. We all have 1,440 minutes in a day.
What is up, Impact Heroes? Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Rick Ornelas. Thank you for spending some time with us today because we know time's a valuable resource and we're going to make it worth your while. I appreciate each and every one of you, not just for listening, but for who you are. I know you're sparking change to make the world a better place every day, and I am humbled and grateful for your efforts. It takes all of us doing our part to spread positive change, and that's what this show is all about. Motivating you with stories of struggle, courage, and hope to empower you to make a difference in your life and the lives of others.
In case you missed it.
My commitment is to become a leader worthy of leadership, right? And why do I say that? Because my goal is to create 1,000 jobs.
Available everywhere you listen to your podcasts.
Welcome back, Impact Heroes, to the latest edition of I Spark Change Through. Our goal with these episodes is featuring all the different ways that us and others spark change to make the world a better place through social impact and positive change. We found over the past few years that there are endless ways to positively impact others each day. Now, the response to this segment has been extremely positive. We've had episodes on sparking change through fitness, adventure, mind, body, spirit, volunteering, mental health awareness, writing, interns, cultural exchange, and most recently, networking. So on that note, I have a question for you. How do you spark change? One of the ways we spark change here at I Spark Change is through time. Now, right now, you may be wondering, how can someone spark change through time? All right, well, that's what I'm going to share today because I believe we all have the ability to spark change through time each and every day. I feel this way because I believe time is the most valuable thing that we have on earth, our most valuable and precious resource. It's worth more than gold or money, and it's more precious than even love. It can either be your greatest treasure or your biggest stressor, and sometimes that will even change from moment to moment. This is what makes it so important and how and why you can use it to spark change. So to illustrate the point, I'd like to share an excerpt from an article that I wrote for Medium a couple years ago entitled "The Single Most Powerful Word in the English Language." In the battle for time, in the battle for supremacy, time always wins. Now, in that series, I had written a series on the 5 most powerful words, the 4 most powerful words, the 3, the 2, and then the single most powerful word. So I urge you to go and check those articles out on Medium. You can find any of them by searching those titles. And you'll see that there's some very interesting phrases and sayings in there that make up those powerful words that I'm sure will resonate with all of you. So onto the show, onto the segment. It seemed like it would be just another Saturday afternoon out on the lake with friends. We had planned a day when everyone was in town and their calendars were wide open, a day where we could relax, hang out on the boat, and enjoy one another. Now, this began like many previous boating days did with us. We packed a cooler, we gathered snacks, and we figured out who would ride with who. Now, my wife had to help with her friend's child's birthday party, so she asked if I could get a ride and meet her later. So I called my friend Kevin and asked if he could pick me up on the way to the boat dock, which of course he agreed to. Now, he showed up promptly at 2 p.m. and we loaded everything into his truck. We engaged in the usual catching up that accompanies time with a friend you haven't seen in a while as we drove off. When we strayed from the route to the boat dock, he casually stated that we were going to pick up our other friend Scott on the way. Now, I didn't think much of it, and we continued on our way. Scott was waiting outside when we pulled into his driveway, and after a brief greeting, he asked me if I could head inside to help him carry this large cooler out to the truck. I willingly obliged and followed him into the house. Now, I could see the cooler on the ground just inside the kitchen door and was headed straight for it. I reached down to grab the handle, utterly unaware of my surroundings. And then it happened. Surprise! I was so startled, I literally jumped back with my hands over my chest like a frightened little child. Now, before me stood a large group of people, including my wife, my daughters, family, friends, basically everyone important to me in my life on that day. Now, they were all there to celebrate my 50th birthday. Now, the funny thing was that it wasn't my actual birthday. My birthday was 2 weeks later, but my wife had planned it that way to ensure that it would be a surprise. This was when everyone was in town to make the schedule work. And trust me, if you knew the schedules of some of the people I know, you would understand this is a small feat. But you see, the ability to capture that moment where we could all be together to eat, drink, laugh, and celebrate was an extraordinary moment in time, not just for me, but for everyone there, because it was time we could all be together to share stories, make memories, and enjoy one another's love. For this reason, I am here to tell you that time is the most valuable word in the English language. And as I said, our most precious resource. It's not communication, trust, or even love. It's time. Because without time, none of the others can work their magic. Yes, these are all important and valuable in their own right, and don't fall far behind in the pecking order. And if you're wondering where some of those other words are ranked, check out my other articles on the English languages 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and 2, and most powerful words. Now, I have to admit, I struggled with writing this piece for a bit. First, because I wasn't sure which word would win out. I was very close to going with communication because I feel that this, along with trust, is the foundation of all relationships. Now, communication is critical to our survival as a species and always has been. But the more you break it down to the core, the more you analyze it, time will always win. I mean, how can you have a conversation with a friend, send a text, or even smile at someone to communicate if you aren't taking the time to do so? Second reason is because I just couldn't find the time to write this darn article. It took nearly a year to the day of the original surprise party to publish this piece. I was wrapped up with coaching clients and the holidays and launching the iSpark Change podcast, this very podcast. So I never got around to writing. And it all amounted to just a bunch of procrastination, really, honestly. Excuse after excuse that there was something more important I needed to do. But I simply wasn't prioritizing my time. Now, prioritization is a key component of time management. It's actually what most people struggle with when it comes to finding time, as I have myself. And the truth is, we all have enough time to get what we need to get done. We all have 1,440 minutes in a day. We all have time to spend with loved ones, to have a fulfilled life, and to enjoy all that God has given us. But we don't always do a good job of making these things happen. And that was how I lived most of my life. I would go from one thing to another and feel like I never had enough time. I was always in a hurry, always rushing from one task to the next and letting the years fly by. The reality was that I did have the time. I just wasn't using it in the best ways possible. I know that now and place time as my most valuable commodity. Now, turning 50 has a way of doing that to you. It's a great wake-up call, as are all those mornings where you don't hop out of bed as in the way that you did when you were 30. Body aches aside, reaching this milestone brings with it a sort of wisdom from years of experience under your belt. No matter who you are a collection of your life's experiences. We all are. And it's time that makes those experiences possible. That's why it's so crucial to be present in each moment and value all experiences, because you never know when the end will come. This is why I choose to live each day as if it were my last. Now, this is wisdom I gained after a near-fatal car accident many years ago, but that's a story for another time. And you listeners on the podcast, I know you've heard that story. Now, this excerpt, I feel, captures the true value of time. It shows how we all use time to impact others, either positively or negatively, each day. Now, my hope is that you taking the time to listen to this episode today will create more awareness of the importance of time in your life so you can spark more change for yourself and for others. Thank you for joining me on today's episode. I hope that what I shared resonated with you in some way and sparked something inside of you. Now remember, you all have the ability to spark change each and every day. I love to learn more about the ways that you spark change, so please share those with me on social media. I promise I will personally respond to each and every one of you. Thank you for listening today, and we'll see you all next time on the iSpark Change podcast.
Do you want Rick to speak at your event? Here is what others have to say.
Did not know his story, and it was so inspirational, and his presence on stage, his authenticity was just incredible.
Absolutely loved his performance. It made me feel some type of way.
If you're looking for a speaker for your next event, hire Rick. I promise you this, you will not be disappointed.
Visit rickcornelis.com to book him today.
Remember, Impact Heroes, every positive action can be a spark moment that has a ripple effect that spreads far beyond the initial act. So go out there and spark change. Don't forget, if you enjoyed this episode, then please smash that 5-star rating on iTunes or Spotify and leave a review. We value your comments and we want to hear from you in the community. Thank you for listening. God bless you, and we'll see you next week on the iSpark Change podcast.